What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Hello.
We back up in here.
Yeah, back up in here for a minute. So we came out here. So last time we were out here, we were like knocking on 1,000 subscribers, right?
Yes.
And we said that when we reach 1,000, that we come out and do like a little quick episode or a little video vlog or whatever you want to call it. So here we are. That was last week, right? About a week ago. So
took less than a week. We are so thankful.
Actually, we it happened like the next day or so. I think it was.
Yeah, it was at least about.
We saw that because we had about 998 subscribers.
Yeah,
and it's been like I mentioned on the last video, it was like 2 years.
Yes, 2 years.
It's been 2 long years, and it's taken us to get to 1,000 subscribers.
But we are happy that we made it.
It's been totally organic. So I guess the one question that people would have about it is like I would have is like, okay, are we rich yet?
No,
because we got 1,000 subscribers.
Not at all.
So we're not even monetized at this point.
Not at all.
We're not even looking. We're not even looking to get monetized. Right.
I guess it was just a milestone for us to reach 1,000 subscribers. So.
Yeah. So I think like once you reach 1,000, you get so many watch hours and those sorts of things. You can move into like a monetization space, but then it's not like any, and I haven't even researched it, so I don't even know what's involved in it. It's just high level type stuff, but I guess you can make like a few dollars a month.
It's not like you go
$3.75,
right?
If you have like I don't know 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers or whatever, but not something that we're gonna focus on. But I will take and just do the little spiel and the verbiage of like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
So like our videos. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Share it with somebody. I mean, we got videos that go back over the past couple of years that somebody might be able to draw.
Yeah, that they probably hadn't seen, or maybe want to go back and look at even specific parts because you do have them segmented out. So that's good too.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I did learn was that I do pay a little bit more attention about which videos actually kind of does better than others. Mm-hmm. Like for some reason that last one that I did about visiting a South African dentist was pretty popular. Mm-hmm. It got quite a few views to it, and I'm not sure if people click on it expecting that they're going to see me in a dentist chair and a doctor hanging over in my mouth working and stuff like this. Let's see if the South African dentists are just as competent as American dentists, or if they're just as good, or if their facilities are as sophisticated, or whatever, which of course, the South African family, they know what the experience is like over there. So I guess it would be more so outsiders who are not from there, which truth be told, I mean, most of our viewership really is our
South African
our continental audience, African continental audience anyway. So, but I wasn't sure, but of course, I'm always just giving my perspective on something, right? Like, you may see some things like me shooting from inside the dentist, like I was trying to be courteous and stuff while the people were working.
Because no one wants to be shooting while they're in a chair in a dentist or doctor's office, period.
I can just now, son, you got some content creators out there that I'm sure they in the dental chair, doctor all in their mouth, and they got the camera up. Like, I'm sure the doctor be mad as hell. It's like, dude, let me work. You know what I'm saying? But so not everything is. You have to be. At this point, I don't think I'll ever really change from that about certain situations, which is not intruding upon people to a certain level. There may be sometimes like I can capture footage that's not intrusive, and I will, but I was just curious as to whether or not, like, I wonder if people were clicking that video to see if they were going to see me in a dental chair and actually a dentist actually working in my mouth, But anyway, we have other cool content out there. I even go back to look at the ones like, people who are interested in exploring the continent or doing what it is that we do, or what others, have done. You go back to our initial, our Doing Big Things in South Africa video, which is like episode number 2.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
We're on like episode 35, I think it is now, officially. Of course, we have more videos than that, but not everything counts as an episode.
Exactly.
Right? So, but nevertheless, so we appreciate our 1,000. I think we're at 1,002. now at this point. And we realize that certain things are going to drive that growth, right?
Absolutely.
If you're doing
certain types of content,
you putting out certain videos, or, stuff like that. And I know when we're on the ground there, viewership automatically goes up because people just want to see, even though you have other people on the ground, doing similar things, like going to certain restaurants.
It's how it's presented.
Yeah, but for me, I want to present it in the context of, this is us as we immerse ourselves into this, society and stuff along our journey and present those perspectives, right?
Right.
So that's real cool. So let's talk about something that we encountered last week, just as we have. For some reason, the last few episodes have been challenges that we had in the process of managing our property and our second life in South Africa.
Yes.
And so this time it was a situation where I used up a lot more electricity and utilities when I was over there, more so this time than we probably ever have.
Because we never been over there during the winter.
During the winter time.
Yes.
So I had 2 space heaters running. I was utilizing the washer dryer a lot more often. And so, the money that we had on our prepaid meter, because we have, I'm assuming
that's what I was wondering.
I don't know I'm not sure how many, maybe more people on estates, on the more modern estates and stuff have that. And I don't know how widespread it is with the prepaid metering situation because of the solar additions and those sorts of things. To where you don't pay a monthly bill.
You just pay for what you use, right?
Pay for what you use. You say right, like you don't know. You know what it is. But there's such a thing as prepaid metering over there, where you purchase on your property, instead of paying like a monthly bill like we do here to our utility company, which I happen to work for, our main utility company, at least one of the largest ones in the United States. But anyway, you pay, you have a meter assigned to your home, and attached to that meter may be, solar, because we do have solar, right, as a supplement to our main power. And then what you do is you just do what they call a top up.
Yeah, through an app.
Yeah, through an app or online, but nevertheless, you do it online, and you take and top up or top off, like for the American people, like if you take and top off something, if you're in a bar or something, top me off here,
right.
If you're a Brit or something like that. But it's called a top up. So you basically take your balance and you add some money to your balance. And then when you add some money to your account, they then take and draw from that. So as you use power, on a daily basis or whatever, they go deduct that from your account. So what we have to do is we make sure, especially before every time, that we travel, we make sure that we have that the account is topped up, so that we don't get there and you go to turn on the lights and the power's off, or the water's not hot or running.
We make sure we have more than enough on the account at all times.
Exactly. So for us, it's more so a situation where we just go make sure we have enough money on the account really to cover us for a year. So even times that we're not there, you still have things that are running. You still have the refrigerator that is running. Last time, I don't know if I mentioned this, but when I got in this time, I walked in and I looked in the living room and the light was on.
Oh yeah, you did. You texted me and told me that.
So I'm
it was on the whole time.
That from the last time that we were there.
Yes.
So the light was running.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that nothing happened like you had. I don't know. Let's just say flooding or something like that. From above, the unit above flooded out or something. In a penthouse or something flooded and the light was running. It caused a short or something like that. Fire. I think about those sorts of things. So I'm thankful that nothing of that sort happened. No emergency happened in our place. And I had the light. The lights left on.
Right.
But I normally I check all those things. I have like a checklist. Make sure this is this, and make sure all that kind of stuff, because I know it's going to be a certain amount of time before we're back there. And you know, we travel back and forth randomly and stuff, but you just never know. It could, I may have to be back there a week after. You know, next time it may not be for a month or 2 or 3.
Yeah, it just
depends. So, but I found that when I walked in, I'm like, man, I left the lights on it. Even though I went through my checklist, for some reason, I think it's because, I don't know if I was in a rush, you know, trying to get to the airport, get packed up, or what might have gotten me distracted that caused me to overlook the fact that I left the lights on in the living room.
Right.
But anyway, the refrigerator's always running, you know, so, you know, we're burning power from that. And then we're still being billed, you know, for water, like for hot water and stuff like that, even when we're not using it ourselves, right? Because it's more of a, I guess the way the water system is, the meter is assigned, and the geyser. I want to pronounce it geyser, but I think I heard it pronounced geyser. I try to take notes when I'm over
geyser too.
Yeah, we call it a geyser, but I try to listen to the pronunciations over there. Like the property manager, she called it a geyser.
Okay, geyser. Okay.
So anyway, so we'll the hot water heater.
Yeah,
is what it is. That's so we have like 2 hot water heaters, big hot water heaters in our home here. But you know, they have the geyser there on the estate. So we have gotten down, you know, kind of low in balance on it. So I'm like, I like to leave, make sure we have more than enough. So just in case, I don't know, whatever happens, that we don't find that we don't have enough money to cover the billing, and we end up with a situation where service is disrupted, right? So I went to top it up using the app, and I realized that the app wouldn't come up.
Yes.
App would not launch. So I'm like, okay, it's running, countdown, and this is NetVendor, the NetVendor app, right? They have their Mobi, Vendi Mobi app, and it just would not load. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So I say, let me get on another device, get off my phone, let me get on my tablet or whatever and try. Same thing, timed out. And so I'm like, okay, what is going on? Because we have never had any problems before. And so I got to thinking, so I'm like, okay, what am I going to have to do? Because I need to, you know, get this topped up so that we can, you know, especially the money that we spent this past month from my utilizing the services more, that we don't run out of money. And so it just would not work. So I got to a point where I was going to send like an email. I was going to call, but I was going to send an email. So I fall into that whole thing. It's like, okay, now I got to, you know, start dealing with the folks over there, you know, and I got to be up at, you know, 2-3 in the morning here so that I can deal with them, because they're plus 6 hours over there. But something told me, I said, you know, let's look and see if they have a WhatsApp number. Yeah. And that's a recommendation to, if you're, you know, doing business over there and you're like us and you have times where you're going to be doing stuff from over here. One of the first things I would do is go look and see if there's if the establishment or the business is on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Because it's a lot easier to just, you know, if they have a WhatsApp, chances are that they will at some point, even though there was a delay, it took about maybe 10 minutes for me to get a response when I decided to send just a text message via WhatsApp as opposed to call. I thought about calling, but I was like, well, just let me see if I can just send a text message via WhatsApp. And they actually responded. So we went through the process of troubleshooting. And, you know, they asked me to send them a screenshot of what it is, that I saw. And so, you know, they started making some suggestions. And in the process, something told me, I said, you know what? I have a VPN on my phone, virtual private network, for those that don't know. A VPN is just, it's a service that you have out there that, and you might have, some of you all might use them, that basically allows you to, for lack of a better way of putting it, to pretend or give the appearance that your computer is actually someplace that it's not. Right. So you have like something like, I'm not going to give any free advertising, but the VPN service that we use, you basically you log onto your device, you connect to the VPN, and at that point, your internet traffic is routed to that location. So if I say I want to connect to a router in Johannesburg, South Africa, or South Africa, right? I take and press a button. My device then it sends my internet connection to South Africa, and then the final hop or the final leg or connection to that particular destination, whether it be in this case, it would have been, Net Vendor. It thinks I'm coming from a location in South Africa rather than in the United States.
Exactly.
And so I said, I told them, I said, let me try something. Because they asked me about my internet connectivity. I'm like, internet connectivity is fine. My service is there's no problem, because if there was a problem with my service, we wouldn't have
been able to talk to them on WhatsApp.
I wouldn't be able to communicate with you on WhatsApp. So, I disconnected from our Wi-Fi router here at the house, and I just went to my mobile. And when I selected to use just my mobile cellular network, same issue. So I say, okay, let me turn on the VPN, because the VPN was turned off. I don't always operate using our VPN service, right? So when I activated the VPN and I selected South Africa and I attempted to connect to the Net Vendor Mobi app, it connected.
Right.
And so I responded to them and I told them, I was like, wow, it connected when I used the VPN. Now, what got me was, for the past couple of years, we haven't had to utilize that VPN. It connected.
Not at all.
Okay. So that raised a question in my mind, and I got to thinking about when I was traveling back this last trip, and I was traveling through Ethiopia, and they had to route our flight from Ethiopia. I had to fly to Rome, Italy, and then fly from Rome, Italy back to the United States. And the reason that was the case, and I think I might have spoken to it on our last video, is because of all this political nonsense and BS that's going on between these countries.
Yep.
You got all these, these fights and stuff, and call it what you will. And so, I punch you, you punch me back,
right?
Kind of thing, right? And so, I think I couldn't help but wonder. I'm like, you know what? I wonder if this is just another one of them things, exactly. and that these spats going on between the countries, to where now the United States is saying either that or maybe South Africa, because we know that there's a rift going on between,
sure is,
the United States and South Africa. Politically speaking, we'll just call it, because I'm just going to stay out of the politics on our podcast. I don't want to get caught up in all that stuff, stuff that's, that we have no control over, right? The only thing that we can continue trying to do, or that we're trying to do, is doing what we do, and building our relationships and being productive, with things that we aspire to do, right? From an investment perspective and from a life perspective, all the craziness up there, but I became suspicious about whether or not that was in play.
Right.
And so, there are different programs that you can use to check, like the packets and all that kind of stuff, to trace the packets when you make a connection from your side to the other side, so you can find out whether it's being blocked on your side or the other side or whatever. But I didn't even need to get that far. But what I did was, I knew enough at that point to know that for some reason now, as of now, because even a couple weeks ago, this wasn't the case, and so
really wasn't.
We were able to connect no problem. So, long story short, or long story even longer, depending on how you want to look at it, it requires now for us to utilize a VPN
other than,
in order to connect to our utility mobile app over there in order to pay our bills.
Yeah.
So, moral of the story is, it's just another one of those things that you have to be aware of. So if you're an individual that's in a situation like us, where you have dealings over there, you may have some websites or some people that you're trying to deal with making a payment for something.
Select US. You may have to select.
You can't just use the network that you're connected to your Wi-Fi here.
Yeah.
You may have to purchase a VPN service. Which for us, it costs us like about $100 US per year. About $100 US per year. We subscribe to a VPN service, and even beyond this particular scenario, because if nothing else, it underscores the point that in today's world, it's so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. With these various countries and all of the different leaders and all their craziness and stuff. That they get these weird ideas about and. We're not considered, us little people, us, you and us, they don't care about us. They only care about the power struggles and all that kind of stuff, and the big money at the higher levels, and then we have to figure out how to make adjustments, in that entire massive chaos, right? So a recommendation to anyone else out there who are in our situation, right? If you find that you're trying to do business, with an entity over there and you can't get through, it could very well be because you need a VPN now to access those websites in order to handle your business. So keep that in mind. So that was our last or the most recent issue or learning lesson.
And I'm just glad we got it resolved and figured out.
Yeah. I mean, even for the South African family, I'm sure some of them utilize VPNs as well. Because you want to have a certain degree of privacy, right? And you don't want everybody snooping all in your business, when you're on website. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more that all the time. Governments, are blocking what websites you can visit, who you can talk to, content that you can post is like, governments and corporations.
Yes.
Right? So last thing I think I'll just kind of mention, when I was there, I had a request to, excuse me, it's from the water I was drinking, so let me take another sip. I had a request from someone to grab them a newspaper because they've been interested in, a lot of times I have conversations in my chat groups and stuff, of friends that I have, like people you would not believe, or maybe you would believe, South African family. As more of us find our way to the continent in our different endeavors and explorations and stuff, and we come back and we share these things, with friends or co-workers or family members, it always sparks conversation. As much as people are in the dark, about the broader world outside of this place, people, and because of the programming and the brainwashing almost in a sense that we get, they have skepticisms, right?
Oh yeah.
But then the more that we immerse ourselves over there and people see that, and then we bring back those stories or those experiences and we share different things, they become more curious, right? It changes from that skepticism and cynicism to a curiosity, right? And so you'd be surprised the number of conversations that I have with people, and I'm talking serious conversations about South Africa and things like along the lines of social issues, economic issues, political issues and stuff. And it's a chance for me to take and share my real world experience with them, to take and educate them, right, on how things really are over there. So it's a growth opportunity and it's a promotion opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, both.
And so I had the individual ask me to bring a newspaper back because they want to kind of get a sense, and these are people that are interested themselves in investing, in South Africa. They become more curious all the time. Oh man, I'd like to maybe invest into something over there, or whatever. Pretty much basically the request was made for me to take a screenshot of a newspaper, of a local newspaper and stuff, and provide to the individual so that they could just kind of get a sense of the news of what's going on over there. Because as I mentioned, people are always more and more all the time take a greater interest, and people are interested in investing over there,
right?
And those sorts of things. So they like to just to get a sense of things. And so I figured I just go one better. I just get a newspaper and bring back and put in the mail to the individual, right? And we call it mail here, but it's courier service, I believe it's called over there, because we have a courier service on the estate, that you can use to ship packages and stuff like that. So but anyway, so I bought the newspaper to bring back to them and sent it out to them. And so they've been reading this newspaper, so they've been sending articles the last couple of days, different screenshots that they've been taking of different articles. And one in particular was around I guess there was some protests recently that took place in Johannesburg with Uber drivers.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know if they refer to them as Hail Transportation Services or Hail Taxi Service or whatever. But anyway, it's the Uber drivers. Like, first time that I ever got into an Uber was when we there for the Derby.
For the
Soweto Derby.
Yeah.
And we rode in the Uber. Now I've ridden the Lyft before, but I've never actually taken an Uber, and I've only been in a Lyft like once or twice traveling, for company work.
Right.
But anyway, so first time in an Uber was in South Africa.
Yeah.
So it really hit home when the individual sent me a message saying in one of our group chats saying that I'm proud to be I'm glad to be an investor in Uber, right? Because they invest in Uber stock. Now we don't invest. We don't hold any Uber shares, so we don't invest in Uber, but this particular individual does, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. We could have, when they first, offered, had their IPO, right, the initial public offering, but sometimes you miss that boat and the price gets to be to a certain point, and you're like, I missed the boat on that. So, but anyway, so they invest in Uber, and they were saying that they were disappointed in what I guess Uber is doing, and I guess Uber is going up on their pricing as far as the drivers go. So when you are a driver for Uber, you make a certain amount of money off the passenger, you take a certain cut, and then Uber gets a certain cut, right?
Yep.
So apparently, previously, I guess presently it's like maybe 25% or something to that effect that a driver has to give to Uber,
which is still high
off of a fare, right?
Yeah.
I can't say one way or the other, but it sounds high.
Yeah.
But apparently they're looking to increase that to upwards of like I think 40% or something.
Which is 40%. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and so I think back to the amount of money that we paid when we traveled from Rosebank to FNB Stadium.
Right.
It was about a 30-minute trip.
Yeah.
In traffic, and for the both of us to get there, it cost us what was the equivalent of about $8 US.
Right.
Which I thought was cheap.
Right.
Because when we went to the airport that time.
Exactly.
And we caught a Lyft from here.
15 minutes away, and
it's not 15 minutes. It's probably about 20. About a 25-minute trip. It was about a 25-minute trip.
Oh, but it still cost us $60.
$60 US.
Yeah.
Which, if we just round up, I don't know what the exchange rate is right now, but let's just say it's 20 rand to US for even figures, right? So that would be what, 1,200 rand.
Yeah.
So anywhere between 1,000 and 1,100 rand. It costs us, or $60 US,
right,
to travel 25 minutes. So that's 6 times the cost.
Exactly.
Right. So I thought that was very cheap for us. It was very inexpensive for us when we translated it to American dollars, and it being a 30-minute trip. I was really surprised at how inexpensive it was for us to travel via Uber there.
I'm surprised too.
So I can only imagine the impact that it's going to have on the drivers.
Not only the driver, but even the customers, because now they're really essentially going to have to pay more to offset that increase potentially.
Okay. They talked about the prices going up.
Yeah, but we paid $8. Next time we go and we may have to take it. Maybe it's double or triple.
Uber would control those prices though. Not the driver themselves.
Yeah.
Right. But they could potentially, have to resort to price hikes in order to offset that additional cost. Or the drivers, like they were saying in the article, I kind of scanned the article because I saw a screenshot, that they complain that they have to work longer hours.
Oh yeah, that too.
In order to make ends meet.
Because you're going to have to pick up more rides now to be able, again, to offset the difference.
And plus they're already competing with like the South Africa taxi service, which handles the bulk, from what I see, of public transportation there. Right. But that's more so for locals. I guess Ubers would be more so for people like us, who don't drive. Of course, we drive when we're there. Right. But for tourists and other people who don't drive,
exactly,
that are visiting there would rely upon those Ubers. And so, but I guess there is still some competition. I don't know if all locals take that. I don't know if they're called minibuses or taxis or whatever, but we only rode one time when we were first time we visited South Africa, and we went over to Chafposi, over in Orlando, at the Soweto Towers. We got a chance to ride one, so we know what it's like to be inside one. But I still haven't figured out how how those work. I mean, I've never seen signs on them like public transportation system here with buses. You know, going to this neighborhood, or this is the destination, or how do people know which ones to
maybe it depends
to
on
get
like
onto?
Where you're standing, where you're getting picked up from.
I don't know.
Which may be equivalent to like the bus stop.
Well, I always see them like, let's just say down at Mall of the South. There's a line of them along Schwarzkopf, however you pronounce it. I'm going to get that pronunciation down. But yeah, I see them lined up there, and then you see them different areas at different depots. You know, maybe in Central Business District, there are areas where they congregate and stuff. So I still haven't figured out that system yet. Which of course, you know, we don't rely upon it because we drive.
Right.
But I'd like to learn a little bit more about how people know when they live in certain areas or certain neighborhoods, how they know which one of those vans to get onto, you know, because from what I see, they stop at a certain place and then a certain group of people get off, like a group of people get off and then, you know, they move on to the, I guess, the next destination.
And this those vans is sometimes in the same area. So like you said, you're trying to figure which one,
But anyway, so I imagine that's going to be a big deal for them over there, and hopefully they'll get that all worked out. I'm not sure if they're unionized over there.
That would be helpful if they are.
Yeah, but
I mean, it could, you know, pay. Not that it will guarantee that the prices won't hike up, but you know that could lend to, you know, some more productive negotiations if you have a union that's kind of backing you.
Yeah, I doubt that though. I mean, because I don't even think we have unions for that over here. But you know, who knows?
Right.
But that's a big deal. So, but it does kind of remind me of, you know, when you think about the whole investing thing, right? Like I say, this individual is a shareholder, or they hold stock in Uber, and you think about the drivers, right?
Right.
And you look on the one hand, you got individuals who make money off of being an investor, as opposed to those individuals who have to trade their time for money.
Right.
To keep food on their table and the roof over their head. And it's just such a dichotomy when you think about that. But it brings to mind how, you know, we are raised and educated over here to when it comes to things like investing, right? We tend to think that investing is only reserved for individuals at a certain level, economic level of status, right?
Correct.
You know, which I don't agree with that. You know, with the more I've lived and even given our own experience, you know, it's almost like because of where the world is going, you have to find other means to provide for yourself, and that means investing.
Yeah.
You know, because technology is taking over, things are becoming more automated. Yeah. It's about these corporations, and these corporations, they don't care about the little guy.
They care about making money. Profit.
Exactly, and to use us as commodities, as vehicles to help enrich them, right?
Exactly.
And so you have to find a way to capitalize and to still get by in a world that increasingly kind of pushes us out, makes us obsolete, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you think about that dichotomy of investing, it's like, you know, if I had a couple shares of Uber stock,
right,
that's making me money off of their profitability, ironically, about, you know, while they're shaking down a little guy, placing more of a burden upon them, you know, so that they can increase their profitability, which is actually putting more money in your pocket. So, you know, it's almost like
you got to buy into it yourself.
You have no choice.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah,
and so I would say to individuals, you know, and I understand the economy is what it is, you know, but if I had to do it all over again, going through life, you know, I would start investing sooner. I would, you know, embrace that concept and educate myself. Of course, it wasn't always as easy to be an investor. Now, because of technology, you can set up an account, log into a website, open up a brokerage account somewhere, put some money in there, and you can invest.
Right.
It wasn't like that back in the day.
But even if it's just a small amount, because you figure over time, if you're doing, you know, if you got $20 to $30, depending on what it is you're investing in over time.
That would be US, so that would be about 300 Rand or something.
I always have to go to the calculator.
Right. So, but I mean, but if I were a working class individual over there and I had 50 Rand or whatever, you know, and I could buy a share of stock in a company,
right?
You know, and I know that they have, I don't know how many companies are traded on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, but we have thousands, you know, on the U.S. stock exchanges, right? But I would educate myself and figure out what it is I need to understand about these companies to know enough to invest, to buy a share here and there.
Yeah.
You know, and for long term, right?
Exactly.
And get into the discipline of investing into companies.
Yeah.
You know, so that way we are not trading our time for money and sacrificing our lives and running the rat race every day.
Right.
You know, to try to make ends meet. Now, of course, the world is what it is. Things are going to be what they are, right? You know, you can only do so much. Holding one single share of stock or 2 shares of stock,
right,
you know, ain't gonna make that much of a difference. But however, over time, it's a matter of building the discipline
over time,
as early as possible,
right?
You know, that's kind of like what we do with our son at this point.
Yeah.
Because projecting and being able to have the foresight to see where the world is going, it's going to be a whole lot tougher for him when we're long gone, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that we all just have to think more in that mindset. So it's kind of like a sidebar, I guess, getting into the discussion about investments.
I mean, but it's really important these days because I mean things have really changed over the years, over the decades, and I mean it's just imperative just to be able to survive at this point. You have to have some extra income, you know, coming in to be able to take care of just basic needs at this point.
Yeah. So I imagine if I was an Uber driver, what I'd do is I'd take and find out how much a share of stock costs. And buy a share of stock.
Yeah.
Even if it's once a month or every 2 months or every 3 months.
Right.
Buy a share of stock in that company.
Exactly.
But of course you can't just buy a share of stock and then just leave it sitting. You got to be educated on the business, right? Because a company can, just as soon as they're successful and profitable one day, they can be not profitable, you know, a year from now, whatever. So you have to kind of watch things, but nevertheless, it's just all about investing. So just a sidebar that I thought about, but that's about it. I just wanted to just kind of cover that issue that he came across there, and I guess to make the point that, you know, people are interested in those things, that even though it's way over in South Africa, you know, this whole global corporate game, you know, touches us all, and we're all, you know, it's all intertwined. We're all connected through all these various things, right? And he just had no knowledge of it, you know, and so it can be a bit of surprise, you know, when you see, you know, how companies are, how they operate, you know, in other places where the impact is that much greater.
Because then it makes you question, you know, you investing, you know, in that company if you know that's, you know, ultimately that's what they're doing, you know, because then it, you know, you kind of maybe second guessing yourself.
Yeah, I got companies that we haven't invested in because of what the CEO of the corporation, you know, stands for, or what the corporation stands for doesn't line up with our particular morals.
Exactly.
So, you know, we choose not to invest in them. Now, that means we've lost out on some money.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are a couple companies.
You have to look at which is more important, your morals or making a profit.
Do I want to give this corporate overlord more power to do what it is that they do? Now, it's different if you
don't know when you first invest, and maybe some things get revealed or whatever. You know, like in this case, I don't know as far as with Uber, if there's something that, you know, has just come about. They've been doing this kind of all along. So, I mean, it's different. So, but yeah, that's I hope that doesn't go into effect. Because you know, just
that's a
the
major
workers
hit
is going to
for
be
the drivers.
impacted. You know, they're trying to feed their family.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So we just wanted to cover a few things, and that'll be the last item. Yeah. So until next time, you know, we'll be back out here. We'll figure out what we'll come back out and talk about next time.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's
Mel
and me. This has been
the podcast.
All right, y'all. Later.
Hello.